Hello and welcome to Turning Pages, a program about all things literary. I've recently returned from my overseas travels, and so has my co-host, Laura Knoy. It's great to be together again, isn't it?
It's wonderful to be back with you, Margaret.
Summer is the reason for the season and the reason for relaxing and vacationing, which also means it's time for reading. And our topic today is recommending books for summertime reading. We have our own suggestions, and we've got an expert here with us. I'd like to introduce you to Laura Cummings of White Birch Books in North Conway, which is both a summertime and a wintertime resort. Thank you for joining us, Laura.
Well, thank you for having me. It's fun to be on the big screen here.
And I get to sit between two Lauras.
Right. What could be better?
Right. I know, it's the best of all worlds. Laura, here's my first question for you. This occurred to me just thinking about North Conway and the kind of tourism and people that come. Do you see a difference in the types of books that winter book shoppers buy compared to the people who come and pick up books to read in the summertime?
I think definitely. I mean, part of it is what we show. I mean, as soon as the temperature warms up a little, we've got romances up on the wall, we've got the pretty covers and things like that. But I think people are looking for a little escape, and so you've got thrillers, you've got fun rom-coms, you've got maybe a slightly lighter, but at the same time, because you're going to be on vacation and maybe without your kids or something, people also delve into some pretty meaty books too. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, they've got time to just sit at the beach and really read it or something and then think about it afterwards.
What about you, Laura? What are your summer holiday reading
Oh my
plans?
gosh, a big fat paperback. With all due respect to the Kindle readers, you are saving the planet and not cutting down trees, but I love paper books. So a big fat paperback that I can stash in my bag, stash in my suitcase. I also want to shout out to Laura's hiking and outdoors collection. And those are also books that I tend to pick up in the spring and early summer, like, ooh, I'm going to do this hike. I think I got one last year, best waterfall hikes in New Hampshire.
Right.
I'm a sucker for, best swimming holes, best hikes. Yes. So you have a fabulous collection of outdoors books.
Well, thank you. We do work on that really hard because obviously we're right in the middle of it there. And yes, those best of books are great, the best bang for your buck. If you're going to expend your energy, you don't want to get up to a wooded summit and go, I can't see anything. So you want the books, they really kind of take some of the work out of it for you.
So they function as a guide, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's
a guide
also,
person guide, yeah.
There's also great stories, like rescue stories and things like that. And the main thinking is to never end up in one of those books. Read it, learn something, and don't make mistakes so that you are then a subject of one of those books.
Don't be a character in another Ty Gagne
Yes,
book.
exactly.
That's what you're talking about. And
that is what I'm saying.
NH, in January, actually. I felt like that was a good time to have Ty on.
Yes.
And Ty Gagne fans will be very happy to know he's working on another book.
I know.
So that's what New Hampshire booksellers always want for Christmas.
Yes.
Another Ty Gagne
Yes,
book.
exactly. His books, the 3 he has out, are always our top sellers, regardless of what year. It just happens. They're always in the top 20 for sure.
Also for summer, if I could tout
Yeah,
a New
yes.
Hampshire author for
Indeed.
summer, because summer does, for me anyway, have a very special feeling. It's defined, June to August, and it's a special time, and it's warm, and you do things that are different. And Margaret and I interviewed recently Diane Lesbeck's, here it is, Where the Water Meets the Sky. She's a big name author nationally, but she happens to live in New Hampshire. This is published by Simon & Schuster. And this book, you can look back at the interview we did, but it just evokes a special sort of coming of age of this young woman in this, isolated summer season. It takes place in the Upper Peninsula. It's just beautiful. So Margaret and I loved that book. And then if you don't like summer, which I can't relate to because it's my favorite season, but if you don't like it, I recommend Paula Monier's book that came out in late December. So we can squeeze it in for best books for summer. And this is Snowy and Cold. This is number 7 or number 8, I think, of Paula's
series, yeah.
Mercy
Somewhere
Carr mystery series. And Paula's also been on Read Local NH. And again, national caliber author who just happens to live in Salisbury, New Hampshire.
And also a literary agent, too.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're hoping to have her, I think, on the set sometime within the
need
next
to.
year. Yes, yes.
She's got her finger in a lot of pies. It's very nice to talk to her.
Well, I sort of alternate between light reads and serious reads in the summer. I'm usually reading some kind of reference book for whatever book project I have that's going on. And I remember a friend of mine who was a bookseller at the Bunch of Grapes on Martha's Vineyard
yep.
talked about Richard Dreyfuss would come in, and he was the head book buyer, and so Richard Dreyfuss would hit him up for recommendations of books and everything. And he was always surprised that this Hollywood actor would read some really heavy duty stuff, Barbara Tuchman and all kinds of things about war and civilization, all these kinds of things. I think he was just kind of surprised by the breadth and depth of this actor's interest in really some deeper subjects. And I can kind of relate to that, because it's like what you said about sometimes you feel like you have more time to delve into heavier subjects. So nonfiction for me, biography. But, I love lighter books as well, and summer themed books, which Diane's book that you just showed is set in summer. And I think it's always fun to read about other people's summertime experience, whatever their age. And one of the books, this book actually came out this week. Our friend Laura and I were on a panel at the Historical Novel Society conference last year with Eliza Knight, who does a podcast. And so her book is called Lost in the Summer of '69, and it's about 3 generations of women who have a interesting experience in that kind of wild, iconic summer of '69. And so the cover and the topic and everything is extremely summery. So I thought that would be a very appropriate thing to read this summer, as well as to recommend.
Great.
She's a best-selling author and just a wonderful, wonderful person. Other books that I like as a gardener and sometime mostly a cook, but I cook less in the summertime, is Marianne Esposito's cookbook that has, it's about growing the plants, harvesting the plants, and then cooking the plants. And it was, you don't have to grow the plants. You can go to your farmer's market and buy the fresh produce. But that one is definitely on my list. And and then another cookbook that's recommended that will be on my list also, both of which are on my e-reader, which I can use in the kitchen easily.
There you go. It's funny, Diane's book, I figured that anybody who read that would want to book their next trip up to the Upper Peninsula.
Yes.
Because it just sounds amazing.
Yes.
But not in winter. I have friends who have lived up there.
Definitely not in winter.
Oh, yes, yes. Yes.
But it's funny because when you were saying, in the summer, I tend to read maybe a little more fantasy or whatever, but I found one that would be right up your alley. It's The Unicorn Hunter by Catherine Arden. I don't know if you've heard of that. It just came out.
Title.
And it takes the real story of Anne, the Duchess of Brittany, from way back, in the late 1400s. It takes her real story. She became Duchess at age 11, apparently, and then ruled Brittany, for, 30 years or something. But the whole time she was trying to keep it its own piece, but I think in real life, she had to marry the King of France, I think, in real life. But in this book, Catherine has taken that whole real story and thrown in a little fantasy with it, hence the unicorns, and made it sound more like it's more like myth and folklore and everything, and makes Brittany sound so, this wood where all these magic happens, and the the fog comes in and you enter a different world type of thing. So it was a real melding of the fantasy with the historical fiction, I thought.
It sounds great.
I want to
I thought you'd
believe
like
that
it.
there are unicorns roaming around the forests of France. You'll have to find them for us, Laura.
I haven't seen any evidence that there isn't.
There you go. And Catherine's a Vermont author, but she's been a big presence in New England since, I don't know when her first books came out, but not New Hampshire, but at least New England.
Right, right.
And what other New Hampshire authors are you recommending?
Oh
for
my
summer
gosh, so many. So on Read Local NH, gosh, back in March, I think. I can't believe it's June already. Woo, where did the time go? I had two local authors. One is Robert Perot, who Manchester area folks may have heard of him. He's very well known in Manchester for his explanation of the French-Canadian society there. He's written half a dozen nonfiction books about that. This is his first work of fiction in English. He wrote one in French. And then this one, which Laura, maybe you want to talk about too. This is Anna Hebra Flaster. It's a memoir about her coming to America from Cuba, her family escaping the Castro regime, and when she was 6 or 7 years old. And unlike many in the Cuban American community who settled in Miami, maybe New Jersey, they settled in Nashua, New Hampshire. And I think you had,
I'm sure
Laura,
it was a draw.
I think you had Anna up near North Conway, and this was a terrific book.
It is terrific, and she did an event, and it was so good to read. I mean, I don't know, especially in this, with immigrants and everything, but it just, her story showed so much love in the family and also how hard they worked. And it wasn't like, look at us, we're working hard. It was just matter of fact type of thing. But this family unit, this extended family, and everybody would come visit. But it also showed kind of the switch from, how life was and what the, what every family did, and the younger people growing up and wanting different things, and which I think is very typical when people come here and everything. So I think she showed a lot with that book, and it was just fascinating that was here in New Hampshire.
And it was so well written.
Yes.
And the reason I paired these two authors together is they're both sort of immigrant stories. And even though, the French Canadians have been in New Hampshire for a long, long time, and this Cuban family were new arrivals, there were so many similarities,
Right.
Around some of the things that you just said. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very good. And what the other piece that I liked was it showed us a teeny bit different slice of the Cuban Revolution, and because they lived there for a long time after. And so I've read other memoirs where they're exiting like right at the beginning. And this was a very different look at what life was like there and what they left, what they gave up, why they chose to do it, and kind of some of the fractures in the family about that too. But she wrote it very well, I thought.
Well, that's good to have it's always good to recommend New Hampshire authors. One of my habits during the summertime is to do a reread of something favorite or something I haven't read in a very long time. One of mine go-tos is called Green Thoughts, A Writer in the Garden. I'm a writer, I'm a gardener, so it all makes sense. Actually, it kind of covers year-round gardening, but the literary style is lovely. She gardened in Connecticut, having come to America. She was married to a European count. They had a castle, and during World War II, they had to depart. And so she's very opinionated about the gardening that she does. This is one of those perennial titles that's always in print. This is an older copy of it, but it's available in a more modern edition.
I love that book jacket.
And I know, but the newer edition doesn't have this jacket.
Right.
The ebook doesn't have this jacket, which is a pity. Another one that I'm recommending that I intend to reread this summer is called This Rough Magic by Mary Stewart, and it's set on the island of Corfu in Greece. Ooh. And it's about a London actress who's a little bit out of work and ends up staying with her sister, who has a house on Corfu. And it's like all of Mary Stewart's book. There's like a good-looking guy and a mystery and some, some espionage kind of stuff and some crime kind of stuff, and it's just lovely to visit that place in that book. And she writes so well, and her intrigue and suspense is just, she's a real mistress of all of that. So that's an oldie but goodie that I intend to read again, and I recommend to other people. Her whole backlist is just
Wow,
fantastic.
that sounds great. I have not heard of her.
Yeah.
I would like to go to Corfu.
I know. Wouldn't we all?
It's in the
well,
book.
You can go in the book. Yes,
Right,
exactly,
sure.
exactly. And there are a lot of the guy that she ends up connecting with. His father is a very well-established actor, and so he kind of is in a mentor position. But there are a lot of, this rough magic is taken from The Tempest, and there are a lot of sort of Shakespearean allusions throughout the book as well, which kind of there's like little breadcrumbs throughout the book, which add to it, at least for me as former actress. And I really like that one, so I recommend that and all the Mary Stewart books.
I'll have to give those a try. Well, I didn't go to Corfu in my reading. I went to the New Hampshire coast in a recent book.
That's
Very
closer,
small.
easier to get to.
New Hampshire coast, but this one that's recently out, Down with the Shipmans. It's Meg Mitchell-Moore actually lives in Newburyport, so kind of just
Over the border.
Over the border, but this is set squarely on the New Hampshire coast, and it's 3 adult sisters who go back to their beach house the first time since their mother has died, and they're very different. And they go back there to have a kind of family thing with their dad, who, by the way, married their dying mother's nurse. Way after. And they're still a little salty about all of that, and they have issues in their lives, and they get there and they realize they've been called there because the father wants to sell the house. And that just riles everything up, and of course things get crazy before they get better. But it's a great, that feeling of walking along the ocean with the waves and whatever, you definitely get that with this book and everything. So she's very good. I've read a couple others of hers, and I did not realize how local she was. I believe she also spends time up in Bridgeton, which is just over the line in Maine from us. And so I was very happy to read her book. And this is perfect summer reading.
Perfect. Yeah.
What kind of events do you have at the store during the summertime? Do you have any that you want to mention now, or do you have a schedule on the website, or how do people find out?
I have a schedule on the website, but I can pull out. We are our most recent, the one that's coming up next week. I think it's next week. I'm like you. Is it June?
Yeah.
But Ernest Thompson of On Golden Pond fame has his new book, Outlaws, and we'll be doing an event with him on the 18th. And this is basically, the thought is, what if you could leave your life? So what if you could negotiate an out clause? And I haven't finished, or I've only just delved in, but I believe the gist is you get to do the out clause if you're going to be a better person, or if you're going to behave better or be more caring or something. And if you don't, there might be repercussions or something. But so he's our next big event. And
That sounds
big.
intense.
Yes.
So
Wow.
for those who view this show after that event, there will be autographed copies in the store.
Yes, yes, for sure. And he is a very interesting guest because he brings his Oscar.
Yes.
And I've seen him.
We've held that Oscar.
Yes, I know.
At the Oscar party here in Concord that they used to do.
It's very, it's like, okay, here's this little gold guy, but then you're like, oh, there's some weight.
Like, wow, this thing is heavy. You know why
Yes.
they say that on the awards show.
And people love it. And so that'll be interesting. And he is a storyteller for sure.
Yeah, and
So,
he's local, so yeah.
Yes, I forget. He's somewhere between here and North Conway.
But, yeah, in the Lakes region maybe.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So, but we don't do a huge schedule of events like they do here in Concord. We do a couple a couple a month, and that kind of works for us. And
You deserve to take a break once
yes.
in a while.
Well, there's so much that goes on up in our neck of the woods, so we're always fighting for.
Oh, I'm sure lots of events and
yes.
activities.
Right, summer concerts and all
Right.
that. All that. Right.
So I want my authors to have an audience. So
Oh, we appreciate that.
Nobody wants to talk to 3 people.
Yeah.
right. So but we do have that on our website for sure, and we've got a few others. This summer we're also doing one. So Ava Frechette is a local. She lives right in Conway, and she wrote her first book. This is the final book of a quartet. And she wrote the first one during COVID when she was in high school. You know, overachievers.
Wow.
My goodness.
But she's finished it with this one, and
she had a plan.
yes. So it's young adult, and you know, it's kind of in the realm of like a Hunger Games type of a book. And so we are going to have her in conversation with one of our other local authors, Andrew Bridgman, who is older than Ava, but he just started writing recently and will be coming out with the 3rd book in his Emma Noble series. And I thought it would be really interesting to have these 2 people who are embarking on writing
At different stages of life.
very
Right.
different
Yes.
stages and
I love
different
that.
genres and everything, but I'm sure there's still a lot of common ground and everything. So I think it's going to be a really fun event, and we just rescheduled that for mid-July, July 18th.
Great.
Road trip, Margaret.
Yes. Right. So let's talk about cat books.
Laura can talk about cat books.
Yes. So this book is written, another book by an agent, a literary agent. This is called Pay Attention to Me. It's been a long time since I had a cat. I'm a dog person now, but which I think is fun. But this is about a blue cat, and so this is a relatively new release. And I noticed that you have a cat book here, Laura.
Yes, you can probably see it up there, called Cat Love, and that and that just came out. This is a translated work, and it's narrated by the cat, and the cat is abducted and put in a Schrodinger's box.
Oh.
So what is that? Is there a cat in the box, or is there not a cat? You
It
have
messes
to open
with
the
your
box.
head.
Yeah. And so it starts out a little tricky because it's like, well, who would put a cat in a box? But I was very distressed. But
Cats like boxes, don't they? That's what I've always heard.
but the cat kind of its aura or whatever, or its soul or whatever, translates beyond the box, and you see the history of where the cat lived and who the cat lived with. And the cat loves its most recent person. The mustache is what he calls him. And so there were some troubling parts. It's, I was very distressed about the cat in the box. But at the end, it's really, to me, it was just like the sweetest book of the cat talking about how much it loved its person. And I remember when I finished, I picked up my cats. I'm like, do you love me?
Of course you
They're
did.
like, please put me down.
When are you going to write a book?
But it's set in the somewhat near future, but the author is a poet, so the writing is it's succinct yet has a flair to it, and that's why it's kind of this smaller trim book and everything. But there's a lot in here.
Neat. That's good to know about. Do you want to talk about some author events or literary events around the state that you're aware of?
And that's another great thing about summer. And if it isn't clear already, summer is my favorite season.
I think you've said.
So, I mean, summer concerts and just festivals and local markets and all that. And all year long in New Hampshire, we're blessed with lots of book festivals and author events. Margaret and I do a lot of New Hampshire library events. I've done library events with you.
Right.
So in addition to our wonderful bookstores, we've got all these venues and groups that just love doing author events. So I've been lucky enough to interview a few people as part of these. Last night, Ken Burns was in Concord, and I interviewed him on his film. But since we're talking about books, there is the giant companion book to the American Revolution,
beautiful.
which is beautiful, which I have on my coffee table. And actually, my older son was looking at it and going, "Wow, this is amazing." So that was good. So that has been a really wonderful sort of author interview. But then earlier this year, I participated in Lit at the Lounge, which is at the Music Hall. And
In Portsmouth.
in Portsmouth,
yeah.
and I interviewed Sandra Brown, who on her latest book, Bloodlust, which it's a thriller, which is not normally my genre. As Margaret knows, she laughs knowingly. But I tell you what, I thought this was terrific.
There's a reason that she's like a big, huge best-selling author.
She
Very
is
prolific.
big.
knows her stuff.
She is big, and she has 77 New York Times bestsellers.
word.
And the day that I did this interview in Portsmouth, they just found out that Bloodlust was 78. So I was there. when she
You were
got
there
that
when it
announcement.
happened. That's
In
exactly.
addition, Sandra Brown is just a lovely person. She was so nice to me. I mean, I'm this like little humble, like one-time newbie author, and she was so nice to me. And she wrote a nice review of my book on Amazon. So thank you, Sandra.
Yes, she's a lovely person.
And then this weekend is Seacoast Lit Fest in Portsmouth.
Okay.
So again, with the Music Hall, I'm interviewing Ben Mesrick on this book about the professional chess world, which, again, full disclosure, I've never played chess. I have no interest in chess. But this is a very good book. And Ben Mesrick, who I had not heard of before, he's the author of Accidental Billionaires, which got made into that film, The Social Network, by Andrew Sorkin. And then another book that he wrote got made into the hit film 21. So he's a big nonfiction guy who writes books that get made into movies. So I'm excited about this. Yeah.
Great. Well, check things out. Make sure you go online and find out what kind of literary events are going around.
There
in
are
the
a lot.
state, because it is a year-round thing. But I think in the summertime, it's an opportunity to take advantage of them and pick up your summer reads.
Right.
Are there any other books that you want to? I see Christina Baker Klein is there.
Oh, she's fantastic. That is, I have always been, or a long time ago, I read a book about Chang and Eng, a novel. And this one is, she's actually delving into her history. She is related way back to the sisters who married the brothers, Chang and Eng, the conjoined twins.
Yeah.
And so this story is told from one of the sisters' perspectives. And it's kind of like, why in the world did they do that? And then how they lived and how they had a lot of children and
Which
everything
is so
like
weird
that.
to think about.
Exactly. It was even
really
weirder back then. But she does an amazing job of researching, where it's, she did all her research, but it doesn't feel like you're reading history. It feels like you're reading a novel. And the sisters are fascinating, but our main character is probably the most interesting. And I just find this kind of stuff wonderful. She did a great job with this book. And the only other thing I would mention is another New Hampshire author. I don't know if Jessica Everett here. She has written under many names, but this is, and she's written mysteries and cozies and things like this, but this is another historical fiction set in the mid-50s, and our main character has gone through 2 years of college, and she lost, or her scholarship was then given to a deserving man. And to be able to go back to college, she has to work. And so she goes with one of her wealthy friends to this lakes area in Maine and ends up working at the Maine Chance, which is run by Elizabeth Arden.
Oh.
So it's a wonderful story of place. She's also an economics major, so there's lots of talk about the tourism industry, that she just kind of rattles off. That's very funny from being from North Conway.
Well, that's a great suggestion for New Hampshire, because we have a similar tourism dependence.
Exactly, and it's a lot of class stuff. The Maine Chance was so exclusive. People would go there to lose weight, or they'd go there to just summer, or
Get a glow
they'd
up.
go there to dry out. And so movie stars and very wealthy ladies, and so it's seeing how they had 2 staff to every guest, Can you imagine?
No.
I'm not sure I'd like that. But
Here's your keys,
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Breakfast is at 9. You know, instead of this was just like everything they might need or want. So she does a real good job, again, of mixing the history with the story.
that sounds great. That one's going on my list.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, it's just been absolutely delightful to have you here. And there is a website. What is the website for White Birch?
It is just whitebirchbooks.com.
Wonderful. Well,
Yes.
well, we recommend that people check it out, check their events throughout the year, and a list of all of our recommendations will be attached to the YouTube channel so that people can download it and work their way through it as they wish. Thank you so much, Laura. It's good
You're
to be back with
welcome.
you again.
Yes.
And Laura for making the trek down from North Conway
Thank
all
you
the
for
way up in
having
the
me.
mountains. And many thanks to Concord Community TV, our home away from home, and to Matt Arsenault in the control room, our wonderful producer and technician. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Turning Pages or on Read Local NH, which is also now produced here in the television studio.